Survival is not an easy task. Most of people die during their survival process, but some people came out from the deadly harsh condition when there is no hope of life. The people who survived from this harsh condition came in Limelight, and their survival stories are not published in books, but also films are made. Here we comes with top 10 most amazing human survival stories. After reading these survival stories, you will get motivated. Number 10. Vesna Volvic was a Serbian flight attendant on Jet Flight 367. During the flight, an explosion suddenly ripped through the plane, causing the plane to crash. She was the only survivor, managing somehow to survive the 33,330 feet fall. She spent several days in a coma. Both her legs were broken, and she also had 3 fractured vertebrae, a broken pelvis, and several broken ribs. She spent months in the hospital, and although her injuries caused her to be temporarily paralyzed from the waist down, she holds the Guinness World Record for surviving the highest fall without a parachute. Number 9. Bricky Messi woke up on 24 January 2006 in the middle of the Australian outback, dazed and confused. He claims he had been attacked and then dragged into the outback, but he doesn't remember the actual detail of the attack. When he woke up, there were dingoes circling him, and his only thought was survival. He walked eating frogs, lizards, leeches, and cockroaches along the way. He found enough water sources to stay hydrated. Messi was finally found on April 6, 70 days after he first woke up in the outback. He was severely malnourished and sunburned, but he was alive. Number 8. Stephen Salah was asleep on his boat, the Napoleon Solo, in the middle of the sea, when a whale jumped into a sailboat. Knowing his sailboat was going to sink, Salah quickly climbed into his inflatable lift raft. He had very little provision and water aboard as he floated under the blaring sun. He encountered sharks and suffered dehydration as he shot flares at passing ships, but his flares were never seen. Salah somehow survived a remarkable 76 days at sea. By the time he was finally found, he had floated 1,800 miles. His autobiography is called Adrift. Number 7. Alive in the Andes. The story of the rugby team that crashed and survived in the Andes is widely known. The plane crashed on 13 October 1972, and there were 45 people aboard and 28 survived. The initial crash from there, they were forced to survive in unfathomable conditions for 72 days. By the time they were rescued, only 16 were left. The Andes is a harsh climate, and they were forced to resort to cannibalism to survive. Their survival story has become a testament to the human spirit and an inspiration to many. The story has been told in several popular books, as well as the 1993 feature film Alive, which starred Ethan Hawke and was narrated by John Malkovich. Number 6. Jose Salvador. When it comes to survival, Jose is the king. Jose survived 14 months at sea. Jose and his fishing companion Cordova intended to go on 13 hours deep sea fishing expedition. When they were blown, of course, by this 5-day storm, they had no sails, no anchor, and no oars, so they were at the mercy of the sea. They survived off fish, turtle urine, and jellyfish, and learned how to catch seabirds with their bare hands. They collected rainwater they could. About 4 months in Cordoba, became sick and eventually died, leaving Jose to wait out the rest of his journey alone. He was finally found on January 30, 2014. Jose is the only person in recorded history to have survived at sea for longer than a year. Hiru Onoda. Onoda was an Imperial Japanese Army intelligence officer who refused to surrender at the end of the World War II in 1945. Onoda held out in the mountains in the Philippines where he hid. People tried to tell him that the war was over, but he wouldn't believe anyone. He thought it was the Allied forces trying to trick him. Onoda refused to come down from the mountain. He would not come down unless he heard from his superior officer. So how long did an Onoda hold out for 29 years? Onoda lived in the mountain for 29 years before his former commander finally relieved him of his duty. His former commander flew from Japan and released Onoda by order of the emperor in 1974. Number 4. Aronlston. He was not prepared for his upcoming battle to survive when he set out for a day of hiking to the Blue John Canyon in southeast. It was just another ordinary day for him. He didn't even tell anyone where he was going. But while he was trying to traverse a canyon wall, he slipped through a narrow slit. This would have been okay except that an 800-pound boulder had pinned his right arm. He sat there for 5 days without any food out of water. He lost the hope of being found, so he did the only thing he could do to survive. He amputated his own arm with his pocket knife. From there, he managed to make it out of the canyon flagged down. Some other hikers and was airlifted to a hospital. His incredible survival story is the subject of the movie 127 Hours. Number 3. Harrison Okun survived an unbelievable situation. Harrison Okun was a cook on the Jackson 4 when the ship was met with a disaster. Heavy swells caused the ship to overturn, killing 11 crew members. The ship sank quickly and the people aboard were unable to reach the emergency exit hatch. Okun had no choice but to stay where he was as the ship went down. Amazingly enough, though, an air bubble formed. The bubble was about 4 square feet and it allowed Okun to breathe as the ship sank further into the sea. Okun stayed in the sunken ship safe inside the air bubble for 60 hours before he was found by a team of South African divers. Okun had taken in a lot of nitrogen by the time he was found, so he had to spend 2 days in a decompression chamber. His survival has been called a miracle. No one knows why the air bubble didn't fill up with water, and no one knows how he survived that long at those depths. Number 2. Jan Balserd. He was a part of Norwegian anti-Nazi resistance team during a trip across Norwegian waters. His boat was attacked by German soldiers. Everyone died except him. He dove into the icy waters wearing only one boot. He swam through the waters pursued by Nazis and was somehow able to make it to the shore where 2 Norwegian girls offered him temporary help. He traveled through a snow-capped mountains, dodging Nazis along the way when he was suddenly caught in an avalanche. He fell 300 feet and was left temporarily blind. He wandered blindly through the snow until he was found again. He was offered temporary help, but again he set off to find Sweden. He hid from Nazis in ice holes and experienced such bad frostbite that he was forced to cut off his toes to save his feet. He eventually made it to Sweden, but his tenacity and the awful things he had to go through to get there make Jan Balserd one of the most inspiring survival stories of all time. Number 1. Julian was only a teenager when the plane she was on Lance Flight 508 crashed into the Amazon rainforest. The plane was struck by lightning and broke apart mid-air. Koki fell from the plane still strapped to her seat and survived the unbelievable fall with only a broken collarbone and gash in her arm. She was the lone survivor of the crash. Her father had once told her to track water downstream if she were ever lost, because eventually that will lead to civilization. So that's what she did. She waded through knee-high water for 10 days. On the 10th day, She found a small boat. She remembers seeing her dad remove worms from a dog once with the gasoline, so she poured the gasoline from the boat onto her numerous injuries to get rid of the maggots that were growing in her infected skin. He spent the night in a nearby shelter and was found the next morning by local fishermen. The fact that he survived a plane crash, a fall from the sky, and 11 days in the Amazon earns her the top spot on this list of top 10 amazing human survival stories.